and you're watching News Always On. I'm Kessyl. The Thai Navy SEAL Facebook page confirmed all 12 wild boars, as the team is known, are now out along with their coach, and that the 3 SEALs and the doctor who have been staying with them in the cave are on their way out as well. The boys' condition is not yet known. They will join the 8 already rescued at a hospital in Chiang Rai, where a senior health official says the 8 were in high spirits and have strong immune systems, but would remain in isolation for the time being. 2 of the boys may have minor lung infection, but all may be able to go home within a week. The boys and their coach were trapped in the cave after a sudden rain flooded the Tham Luang cave. For more than a week, officials have been trying to combat heavy rains by pumping millions of gallons of water out of the cave, while also worrying about reducing oxygen levels in the cave. Acting Chiang Rai Governor said that 18 divers and a support team of 100 took 9 hours in the second phase of rescues. The whole country has watched every stage of this operation, holding its breath for what seemed an increasingly unlikely happy ending. After the Thai government threw everything it could try to save these boys, the mission is completed. However, a doctor at the IPPN said the boys' experiences in the cave could result in a psychological impact.
It could be depression, anxiety disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders, perhaps conduct problems and substance abuse. Now, all these are mental health problems that have very treatable interventions for them. So it's important that the children, as they go outside, are screened over time and receive mental health interventions that are targeted to the symptoms and conditions that they develop.
People begin bizarrely to be able to adapt to almost any situation that they're in, and one hopes that the coach, who presumably was the respected person being the coach of the team, would have been trying to keep spirits up, trying to distract them and not focusing on the real fact. No doubt that was in his mind, was this could be the end. And particularly for children who, having a responsible adult there with them, particularly someone that they trust, actually they would very much go off the attitudes and behaviours of that person. There's been lots of studies looking at whether trauma causes neuroanatomical or physiological changes. Does the brain wiring, does the brain chemistry change? And in the short term, absolutely it does. So when we are scared, our brain chemistry changes in the short term. In the long term, yes, it could cause changes. It could cause wiring patterns and alterations, so that someone who was developing into a daredevil, for instance, might decide that they were going to take less risks. That's possible. But we also might see the opposite, where actually someone who didn't think they could cope with situations like this would actually realise that they could, and so that might actually increase their resilience. There's a term which is called post-traumatic growth, which kind of describes the fact that anything that doesn't kill us makes us stronger. The chances are that what happens to them with their family supporting them and the stress that they may go through as they're recovering, whether they become ill, for instance, and get infections, that this period that's going to happen now will help them look back on their experience and say, actually, it was something I coped with, well done, or actually that was indeed something which might have limited my life.
At least 157 people are dead in southwestern Japan, with dozens still missing from flood-stricken areas. Search efforts will continue for at least 57 others that are still missing, most in hardest-hit Hiroshima Prefecture, where dozens of people have died. The newspaper reported, the Japan Times said that the number of dead people is the highest for a rain-related event in the country since 1982. At an emergency meeting Tuesday in Tokyo, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said that the federal government would streamline the process for emergency aid. Abe vowed that the government will assess the needs of victims and push for quick reconstruction. Starbucks announced yesterday that the coffee chain will eliminate plastic straws from all of its locations within 2 years. They became the largest food and beverage company to do so, as calls for business and cities to cut waste grow louder. Here is more.
Have a nitro chocolate cream.
Starbucks' announcement to phase out single-use plastic straws by 2020 is enormous. And it's not just locally, company-wide they've made that announcement. McDonald's has been looking into paper straw alternatives. We should be seeing those later this year for all of their U.S. stores. That's amazing. When businesses step into that fold to really take the lead from government who are saying we don't want these things in our waste stream, it's awesome and everybody wins.
And also, I'll show you the.
Tonight we'll be running nitro cold brew and your tall nitro peach tea.
Part of, phasing out all of these different single-use petroleum-based plastic items was really to find suitable alternatives. People are running businesses, right? And us as customers, we want to make sure that if you're getting a to-go box, it holds the food properly. If you have utensils, that they're going to do the job and help you eat your food. If it's going to be a straw, it's going to get the liquid to your mouth. So over the last 10 years, different materials have gotten better.
And the city passed the ordinance a long time ago, but the director of the department was allowed to grant exemptions to it. And we were able to get exemptions because the original cutlery didn't work very well. So if you used a knife, the serrations broke off. And if you put the original biodegradable spoons in chowder, it melted and it dribbled chowder down your front. And the tines on the forks broke in the food. So it took the industry 5 or 6 years to get stuff that actually works. We want to get the plastics out of the water because we rely so much on fish and we don't want fish eating plastics. and more outside the region will adopt these standards as well. As you know, everything innovates on the coasts and it moves to the Midwest. We're on the leading coast as usual.
While the straws account for a small percentage of the pollution that ends up in the ocean, they have become a flashpoint because they are seen as an easy way to reduce waste. Other cities like Fort Myers Beach in Florida have banned plastic straws, with similar proposals being considered in New York and San Francisco. McDonald's said it would also switch to paper straws in the UK and Ireland by next year and test alternatives to plastic straws in some US locations. The burger chain also said that this year it would use only recycled or other environmental friendly materials for its soda cups. Happy Meals boxes and other packaging will be by 2025. The push to ban the straws gained traction after a viral video in 2015 showed rescuers removing a straw from a sea turtle's nose in graphic detail. Plastic drinking straws make up only 4% of the plastic trash by number of pieces and far less by weight, but it adds up to 2,000 tons of the nearly 9 million tons of plastic waste that ends up in waters around the globe each year. Next up, we are looking at the news that George Clooney was hospitalized and released today after his scooter was hit by a car on the Italian island of Sardinia. Clooney's spokesman Stan Rosenfield told the Associated Press in an email saying, quote, "He is recovering at his home and will be fine." The accident happened in Ireland where the actor is filming his latest TV series, Catch-22. The most recent reports suggest Clooney sustained a minor knee injury in the incident. Clooney, who is 57 this year, is an Oscar-winning actor known for his roles in films such as Ocean's 11, Up in the Air, and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He also plays U.S. Air Force commander in a World War II Channel 4 drama based on Joseph Heller's classic novel, a 6-part drama that is set to air in 2019. Clooney has had a long relationship with Italy, being a frequent visitor to the Venice Film Festival and marrying his wife Amel in the city in 2014. Of the nearly 3,000 migrant minors who were separated from their parents and placed in federal custody, the Trump administration says at least 102 kids are under 5 years old. And for several weeks, administration officials have been under a court order deadline, and that is to reunite those children with their parents and do it quickly. The federal judge ordered on June 26 that families must be reunited within 30 days and children under 5 must be reunited with their parents within 14 days, which is today, Tuesday. The administration says that it needs more time to make sure the reunion is safe, but the ACLU says it views that request as a tactic to prolong the suffering of migrant families. The Trump administration's separation policy has met with widespread outcry, marches, and legal action. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said that HHS employees are working overtime to connect minors with verified parents, and that includes conducting DNA tests to confirm parentage. The administration says authorities expect to return just over half of the kids and that they will need more time to figure out the rest. Yesterday, Justice Department Attorney Sarah Fabian told a federal court in San Diego that at least 54 children and as many as 59 will be reunited with their families in the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Reuniting the remainder has proved to be a much tougher task for justice and immigration officials, who for months separated migrant families at the US-Mexico border under the Trump's zero tolerance policy. Trump ended the practice with an executive order last month, but federal officials have struggled since then with how exactly to undo its results. That's all the news we have for now, but here's a fun fact. For many employees, Tuesday is apparently the most productive day of the working week, and it is also the day where there is highest number of job applicants submitted. For News Always On, I'm Kessyl. You can catch us again at 4 in the afternoon. I will see you later.